finally some good news about Canada immigration. A lot of people will be able to travel to Canada now. So there are so many good news. There are so many updates that we want to share in this video. So watch this video till the end. If you're watching the video and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe the channel because we keep on posting such kind of informational videos on Canada immigration. So do subscribe the channel. Before we move on to the good news, good updates, I would say that Canada is doing great in terms of vaccination. So 75% of the population has received their first dose of vaccination and 20% of the people have received their second dose of vaccination. So with that, Canada is standing on the top in the list. So that is a good news because Canada was not doing good in terms of vaccination, in terms of COVID cases, but now it is improving drastically. And that is one of the reasons why they have lifted the travel restriction. So let me share the first good news with you. So first good news is that people who have received their COPR after March 2020, they will be able to travel to Canada. So that's such an amazing news because we were really worried about so many people. They were sending us messages on Instagram that they left their jobs, they don't have a job in India or in their country and they are not able to travel to Canada as well. So that was heartbreaking. We were really helpless because of this pandemic. Obviously, government cannot do anything. They cannot ask everyone to travel to Canada who had the approved COPR. But now, when the situation is getting better, Canada is doing good on vaccination and COVID cases, they have lifted that ban. So people who have received their COPR after March 2020 as well, they will be able to travel to Canada. So there are few requirements that you will have to meet. But I would say people who were worried, they were sitting in their home country despite having approved COPR, they will be able to travel to Canada. There are minor requirements that you will have to meet. So let me share that with you.
So effective today, which is 21st June, anyone who received their COPR after 18th March 2020 can travel to Canada, which is really great news. But there are some requirements that you need to meet. First and foremost is that you need to be fully vaccinated. You can enter Canada only if you received your vaccination 14 days prior to your travel. So if you haven't got your vaccination yet, this is the time. Second requirement is around the type of vaccination you are going to get. So the vaccines are Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca or Covishield and Johnson & Johnson. So you have to get one of these vaccines to travel to Canada. Third requirement is that you need to show the proof of your vaccination. You need to upload an electronic copy on ArriveCan app before you travel to Canada.
So make sure that you have the updated version of ArriveCan app because Canadian government is adding new features every time there is a new update. Like for this one as well, they will do some updation in the app. So make sure when you're uploading the results, you are updating your app on your phone with the latest version. Plus, a very important update is that there have been some fraud cases. There were few people who were uploading fake COVID results, like negative results, and those kind of fraud cases were increasing. And because of that, government has imposed $750,000 of fine if you will get caught producing a fraud negative results of COVID, or there will be 6 months imprisonment. So $750,000 is a lot. Like, do not do those kind of fraud. You can buy a house with that money. So that will be my recommendation.
Next requirement is that you still need to get your RT-PCR test before and on arrival. So that is a requirement for sure.
And I would just say that this is the first step towards the vaccine passport because all these updates that you have to upload your COVID results on the ArriveCan app are the initial steps towards the vaccine passport. So there have been discussions that there will be vaccination passport for Canada and other countries. So stay tuned for more updates on that. Another requirement is that you should have a quarantine plan. Although they have lifted the travel restriction, you don't have to do the hotel quarantine. Next update will be regarding that. But still, you should have your 14-day quarantine plan because at the airport, they will still ask you about your 14-day quarantine plan, just in case your COVID result will be positive. That brings us to the next good news, which is no hotel quarantine and no home quarantine for 14 days. So that was a lot of hassle for the people who were traveling to Canada in emergency situation. They had to spend $1,500 for 3 days. They were facing a lot of issues now. So that is getting lifted off. So there are few requirements, some updates about it. Let us share that.
So effective 5th July, if you are approved to travel to Canada, you don't really have to do hotel or home quarantine. But the catch here is that you have to be fully vaccinated. And you should still meet all the requirements that we discussed in point 1, which is around negative RT-PCR test, your quarantine plan, and other requirements that we discussed. Also, if you're traveling with the non-vaccinated children or dependent adults, you can still skip the hotel quarantine. So that's again a great news.
We still highly encourage you to take all the precautions despite all the restriction being lifted off, because we have seen a trend in previous year that they have lifted the travel restriction, then again the restriction was imposed because of the COVID cases. So we will just highly recommend that you're still taking precaution, wearing masks. Even if you're not doing hotel quarantine, just do 14 days home quarantine as a precaution.
If you are approved to travel to Canada as a family member of a PR holder or you are a worker of certain type, you are allowed to travel to Canada effective 5th July. And similar to above updates, you still need to follow all the requirements. You have to be fully vaccinated. You need to get your RT-PCR test and all of the requirements that we spoke about. So that's a good news for parents, especially that you can travel to Canada.
So there are not so good news as well. We will share the update. With all these positive updates, we are assuming that FSW draws will also start happening soon. If the situation keeps on getting better in Canada, so they will start focusing on the FSW draws as well, because as mentioned in the previous video, they have to fulfill the target of immigrants this year, next year. They have invited everyone who were there in the CAC poll, TR to PR pathway. They will have to invite people outside Canada. So for that, they will have to do FSW draws. So we don't know when it will start, but with all these positive news, we can certainly say that positive news is coming soon.
First, not so good news is that if you have expired COPR, you cannot yet travel to Canada. IRCC will reach out to you and they will share an update on how can you renew your COPR, so you have to wait for more updates. So some more patience is required.
I would say it is not bad news, because at least they have started thinking about it. So a lot of people were worried that they have COPR expired, what will happen, like they are losing points. So IRCC has updated on their website that they are also thinking about the people who have expired COPR now. You will start receiving some updates. Maybe you have to get your medical done or something. So the exact requirements will be coming soon. So I would say it's not a bad news, it's a good news, I would say.
Second bad news is that the flight ban from India has been extended for next 30 days. That is till 21st July. So any direct flight from India is not operational and cannot land in Canada till 21st July. The flight ban from Pakistan has been lifted, so people from Pakistan can travel to Canada.
And I would say people from India as well, it will take 1 month for the people who had their approved COPR. So even if they will start preparing, they will start packing, they will start wrapping down everything in India, it will still take 1 month. So at least by the time you will have everything prepared to move from India to Canada, travel ban will be lifted off. Another not so good news is about the indirect flight from Ethiopia. Ethiopian government has cancelled all the visas. So people who are taking flights from India to Ethiopia and Ethiopia to Canada will not be able to do that. So you will have to find any other route, indirect flight.
So we would still recommend that please wait for some time, let the travel ban get lifted and then only travel, because you never know, you may get stuck in any country and it may be difficult for you to come from the third country to Canada.
Because there have been cases where people book the flight and they are having hard time to get the refund done. So just wait for a few more weeks and you will be able to directly fly from India to Canada. So these were some positive updates after so many months, I would say. So I hope this continues and we see some FSW draws as well, maybe next month or next to next month. So keep supporting us, subscribe the channel, comment down below if you like the video.
And stay tuned for more updates.